Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting another reading vlog. So I'm actually really energized. I don't know why, TMI, but I started my first day of my you know what, and I don't know, I just have a lot of energy and I was thinking I wanted to film something, but I also haven't prepared anything, so I'm just going to start a reading vlog. And the theme for today's reading vlog, or the reading vlog, it's going to take me a couple days to film, but it'll be a quick video for you all, is we are doubling the reading vlog. Typically with reading vlogs, I think 5 is such a sweet number for books in a reading vlog. It's like a nice little variety, but it's not too much. I think it would be fun to do twice the amount. I don't know. Well, I actually do know why. I lied. So, in my November TBR, which if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. In my November TBR, I talked about how I would like to read as many books as I take in a month. So in October, I took in 10 books, which means I would like to read at least 10 books in November, which is possible, but I just get really distracted easily and, scrolling and stuff. My attention span is not great for the past year or so. But that's a me thing. I can definitely read more if I try hard. So I think it'd be nice to just read 10 books in a vlog, double the length. I'm assuming this vlog might be a little longer than usual, but I actually really like really long vlogs. I TikTok is fine and everything for bookish content, but when a creator on YouTube does like a really long, an hour and a half reading vlog, I love it. It's like my favorite thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know how long this is gonna be in the moment, but I'm assuming it's gonna be at least 45 minutes, maybe longer. So yeah, we're hopefully gonna read 10 books in this vlog. This is more for me than for you, but I hope you enjoy my book choices. Let's talk about what I'm currently reading. If you want a TBR, just look at my November TBR. That's really what I'm focusing on. But if something comes up that I haven't mentioned before at all, then of course I'll mention it. Let's start with the first thing that I started in the month. I picked up Booked for Murder by PJ Nelson. This is a library book. It's technically due tomorrow, but I could always renew if I don't finish it, which I might not finish it. I picked this up. I don't know why. I was in the mood for a cozy mystery. I mentioned how this subgenre is usually my least favorite cozy things. A lot of things don't usually work for me in this subgenre, and I think this is cozy. It doesn't read like it though. Like the writing is, I don't want to get into it, but in this book we follow a woman who was kind of like an actress, a working actor in mostly Atlanta, Georgia, and her aunt passed away. Her aunt left her house slash bookstore, and it's one of those things where you like have to work there in order to like get the contents of the will, which is like a premise that you've probably heard of in like many a cozy mystery. So far, I'm not disliking it, but I'm not really super enthused about what I've read so far. It feels very soulless, unfortunately, but maybe it gets more interesting, more good. There's like a hint of a romance already blooming, which is like normal for cozies, and I'm interested in to see where that goes. Strangely enough, I'm more interested in the romance than anything else going on. Oh, and I forgot to mention, like in most cozies, like someone's threatening our main character's like business, like place of business. And then the second book that I just started reading, also a library pick. I was not enjoying Book for Murder, so I picked this one up. Might also have to renew it, is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This is, I think, one of Riley Sager's earlier works, maybe his second. This is about a woman who, when she was a teenager, like a young teen, like 13, she went to a summer camp and her 3 bunkmates like walked out one night and never showed up. Like they all disappeared. They were like children of like wealthy people. It's like a wealthy people's like children's camp, whatever. And she has like a lot of guilt over what happened, and we are getting the sense that there's a lot of information that we're not getting, which is always like a difficult thing for me in mystery thrillers. I really hate when authors keep information close to their chest, but I do think it's very obvious in this case. And when I know that it's more obvious, like the author or the characters like intentionally being like, hey, like I'm not telling you everything quite yet, I'm a bit more okay with it. Other authors have done that in the past and they're like very like secretive about it, and I don't like that. But I'll go more into detail about like that particular writing choice when I talk more about this. But I'm enjoying this one. I think I'm like 60-ish pages into this one, and maybe 20, 30 into this one. So that's currently what I'm reading. This is a like no themed reading vlog, just reading a lot of books. So that's it. That's my intro. Hopefully something's happened during the filming of this vlog. I'm always like weird. I don't know what to do for B-roll, but I'm hoping to maybe get to my library's book sale. They don't have them often, and I think they're having one. Well, it started today, but I'm not going to go today. Maybe tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have like an eventful week or two, however long it takes me to film this. Thank you for stopping by and joining me in this vlog. I will come back later when I have an update. Peace. Okay, so it's about 9:45, and I actually did finish The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. It's still the same day from like when I started the vlog. It's still Friday. I actually really enjoyed this. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't really have high hopes for Riley Sager. I don't know why. I just thought, he'd be like a quick little popcorny type read, which this kind of is. Like, it's very thrilling and like fun, and you want to keep reading. His chapters are short, so it's great. There's a lot of like roller coaster moments, especially in the last 60 or so pages. I really like this. I don't know if it's a 5-star, but we'll see how I feel about it like as like the time progresses. Sometimes my ratings does change the farther away I am from a book. Sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down, but I really like this. If there's one thing that I don't really like, is there's this one trope or this one characterization I never like, is when there's a teenage girl and she gives like American Psycho, Amazing Amy, like Gone Girl vibes. I don't like that. I don't like when young girls are kind of categorized in that way. It's not my favorite. Something about it feels very off, and yeah, it's not my thing. And I'm sure there maybe are 16-year-old psycho girls out there. It feels so like made for entertainment. It doesn't always feel super authentic. It's not my thing. It's just something that I really don't like. I don't like that type of character, that type of young female character who's just so detached and so like borderline neurotic. I just don't like it. It doesn't feel real to me. For the rest of this book was really fun. I actually really really like this. So I don't know if I like it more than Home Before Dark. At this moment I probably do, but my ranking for Riley Sager right now is, and I would like to get through his backlog. At the moment I've only read 3, would probably be this one, Home Before Dark, The Wall of China, and then Lock Every Door, because I really didn't like that one. This is book 1 done in one day, so maybe this vlog won't take me long. I say that, but it probably will take me long. I will probably spend the rest of the evening reading a little bit of Booked for Murder, which I already said I wasn't feeling. It just feels really hollow, but maybe it'll get better. It's Wednesday. My last update was Friday, so it's been a hot minute and I'm still in the middle of this. So the reading is not going well, but I'm not liking this. It's not great. I don't know what I thought trying to get into a cozy, and I don't think it's necessarily the cozy part that's the problem in this one, but this one just, everything seems so Hallmark, which is kind of part of cozy, but like I've read cozy books that do have good characters and have a little bit more intrigue, but this is just like not, this is just not it for me. I'm not really enjoying this. I'm like halfway through, but I hate DNFing. DNFing gives me hives, not literally, but like I don't like DNFing. A lot of people DNF, which if that's good for you, go for it, but for me DNFing does more harm for me than good. So yeah, I will finish this, but hopefully I can get to something else, a nonfiction. I did want to read another nonfiction I got from my library. The air just kicked in, so the audio is going to be whack now, but that's my check-in. I'll think about what nonfiction to read, because I am in the mood for a nonfiction. Isn't he beautiful? Okay, so couple of updates. It is Friday. Where do I start? Okay, so in the footage, I went to the library, as you saw, and I got a few things. I didn't find anything at the library sale, so I just went to like the normal shelves and picked up some books. One thing I picked up was the next Riley Sager that I want to read. This is The House Across the Lake. I believe this is about a celebrity who's currently like under some sort of like public cancellation. So she goes to her cabin or home in the woods somewhere, and there's a lake, and across the lake there's a house, and she's spying on the couple that lives there because I guess she's like bored or something. I mean, I get her. It's like a seemingly perfect couple, and then it turns not to be a perfect couple. So domestic thriller kind of. I also picked up Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado, which is something that I've been wanting to read for some time. This is a collection of short works. They, I believe, revolve around women and women's bodies and the violence on women's bodies. I know nothing about the actual content, like other than that. I've heard that the genres of these short stories do vary, and I know there's like a Law and Order SVU reference in here as well, which is my favorite like procedural TV show next to Elementary. So I picked this up. I really want to get to this, and the next book that I picked up is actually the book that I'm currently reading now. I did want to read a nonfiction, and I was going to read one that I already owned, but I ended up picking up Black and Blues: How a Color Tells the Story of My People by Imani Perry. This nonfiction is a really interesting concept about how the color blue is symbolic or follows the history of African people in and out of the diaspora, the good and the bad part of African history. And I'm not that far along, but I am liking it. It's very like meditation, like a lot of thoughts kind of thrown together. The chapters are very short. The book itself is like really short. I don't want to give like a proper like mid check-in yet because I'm not midway through this at all, but this is what I'm currently reading. I typically would tell you what I'm currently reading after I've talked about the last book, but I wanted to talk about the library and what I got because that's some of the b-roll that you saw. I also went to hang out with my friend, and that's why I was eating a burger. I did finish Booked for Murder, but I want to talk about the last Riley Sager book, The Last Time I Lied, because I was editing the footage. Listen, I was editing the footage and I was talking about how sometimes in mystery thrillers, the authors kind of mess with the information that we're given, and it sounded really confusing. So if you're confused about what I was talking about, don't worry, I confused myself. But what I meant to say was sometimes in mystery thrillers, you are typically following one person, maybe two people, but we're usually in the perspective of our main character, usually first person perspective. Sometimes they kind of break the fourth wall, but for the most part, our character is like investigating a crime or they're in the middle of a mystery and we're following their thoughts and they don't know what's going on. They find out clues or they find the red herrings or whatever, and we follow them in their journey. So when they find out something, we find out something. I'm not saying obviously like when you're crafting a mystery, the author knows the reveals because they're the ones writing the book. However, sometimes, and this is what I was talking about that I hate, I will immediately give a book like 1 or 2 stars if this happens. I really, really dislike when we are again following a main character and they are finding out the mystery as we are. We are in this together. They don't know everything. We don't know everything. When they find out something, we find out something. However, sometimes an author will have the character go through the mystery and they're like, oh my God, could it have been this person? Was it the boyfriend? Was it the father? Was it this person or that person? And then towards the end, suddenly the character decides, our main character decides to break the fourth wall, personality shift, and they're like, actually, it was me the entire time. I hate that. I'm not saying that's what happened in the Riley Sager book, by the way, but sometimes that's how authors reveal the plot twist, and I find it incredibly lazy because you would have had to change your entire writing style, your approach to the character. I don't want to name a book that does it, but there's a really popular one that I hated and everyone really liked because I guess it was so shocking. It was only really shocking because this book that I'm thinking about, the author kind of just like broke the rules, which I guess you can break rules if you want. If it's your book, you're the author. But I really didn't like that. You would have to like change your character's voice, change your writing style. We went from a character who's like, I wonder who could have done the bad thing. Like, why did this thing happen the way it happened? And then they suddenly just start speaking to me, the reader, and they hadn't done that before. I hate that. I hate that so bad. I find it so lazy and so cheap. But maybe that's just me. Not to say that's what happened in the last Riley Sager book, The Last Time I Lied. That did not happen, so I'm not spoiling anything there. But in that book, I knew that the main character was holding information to themselves and was only revealing it like when the time was right or when the author wanted it to. So I was okay with it. I knew that they were hiding something. Not all authors do that though. Some authors are really fucking stingy with their reveals, and I hate it. Sorry for the tangent. I just had to explain myself because I felt bad, like just rambling at you and like maybe not really getting through my points. Okay, so Booked for Murder. It got slightly better. I'm still gonna give this like 2 stars. It's boring. I just felt there was nothing special about this. And usually, when a book is just kind of like mid, I would give it 3 stars just to be nice. But something about this just was so mediocre. The characters were bland. There's nothing unique or stand out about them. Um, our main character, who's an actress, the entire time, and she kind of did realize it, to be fair to her, the entire time she's like, well, I'm an actress, I can tell people, like I can tell when people are lying, like I'm an actress. And everyone, like she clocked nobody, like everyone was not what she expected. She's like, oh, I this person could never have done X, Y, and Z. Guess what? They did X, Y, and Z. And she's like, oh, they're such good liars. Are you even a good actress? Like, what's it was crazy. Yeah, this one was just like not fun. It got good once like the murder started happening, but it was just really boring. There's nothing special about this. I thought, like, I don't know, maybe if like the audiobook, if there's an audiobook is good, maybe it would have gotten slightly better, but just not really interested in. Oh, however, okay, however, um the entirety of the book, I was getting like apolitical, centrist, like let's not talk about politics vibes, which I found really off putting because this book does take place in southern Georgia. Um, and there are 2 characters in this book, one of them being our main character that is an outsider, and she is being treated with like suspicion, as happens a lot in small southern towns. I thought the author was kind of gonna shy away a little bit from the outsiderness, especially because one of the characters that's kind of being like othered is not necessarily a minority as far as I can tell, but they are in a position that is abnormal for like Southern culture. We'll just say that. So I was like, oh, the author's kind of giving me like apolitical, like I'm centrist in all of this. But there was a reveal, and I don't like revealing, I don't consider sexuality as a reveal, but I was like, oh, we're queening out right now. Like there's like the LGBTs are here. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, what, where did this come from? I'm happy. So maybe I should be generous and give it like 2.5 stars, like right down the middle. But this was still really boring. But thanks for like gay characters, I guess. But yeah, it was just boring and really mid, and like I have no interest. Like I'm gonna probably forget that I've even read this a month from now. Second book down. It is still Friday. A week since I started this vlog, right? Because I started on a Friday. Yeah, I started last Friday. It's Friday now. So 2 books a week is not that bad, but I do need to kick it into hard drive, and so hopefully I can get through this little book. Like I said, this is what I'm currently reading. Any other updates? No, I think that's it. Hey, so it is Wednesday, a Wednesday again, and I did finally finish Black and Blues, How a Color Tells the Story of My People by Imani Perry. I really like this. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think that if you think of this as like more meditations as opposed to like a hard and fast nonfiction with just facts, I think you'll really enjoy it. Some of my favorite parts of this book are the author just kind of like going on, I don't know if tangents is the right word, but just talking about her feelings on African history and what some of the people must have gone through. We touch on histories in Africa and part of the diaspora as well, and some of the passages are just so beautiful to read. A lot of the subject I was already familiar with, as far as like the African American history, civil rights, Jim Crow. We talked a little bit about King Leopold II and his like private ownership over the Congo, which I was familiar with already. It's always like really jarring to read something like that, but I enjoyed it. I think this is a good book. I think it's short. I mean, I know it's short, and I think most people would appreciate it. Again, there's not much structure. She kind of jumps from like thought to thought, and the chapters are really short, so there's not like, again, like a very strict like bullet point that we're following. But I really enjoyed it. If you think of it as like a meditations, because that's what it's like pitched as. It says yeah, the first thing it says is a surprising beautiful meditation on the color blue. Like it's very like thoughtful, like full of thoughts, if that makes sense. But I liked it. If you're looking for something to read within like the Goodreads like choice awards if you're like into that. This is part of the nonfiction category. I don't know if it'll win because that other book is really popular and really well liked. Someday We Will All Have Been Against This, I want to say, the one on Palestine. But I think this is a good choice. I liked it. It's a library book, so it's not something off of my physical shelf, which I would really like to have done, but I do try to read a nonfiction once a month, so it's not bad that I read this. As for what I want to read next, I know exactly what I know exactly what I want to read next. It is something off my physical shelves. Magic Binds by Illona Andrews. This is the 9th book in the, I keep wanting to hold it this way. This is the 9th book in the Kate Daniels series, one of my favorite series of all time. I got this on first read. Urban paranormals can kind of be rough starts with the first book. I love the first book. I love everything about this series. The character growth, the character relationships, even minor characters are so well done. Kate Daniels is like that badass female heroine that authors, especially in the fantasy romance space, want to write, up there with like Katniss and stuff. Like, she is that. I've never read the Game of Thrones A Song of Ice and Fire, but a lot of people put like Visenya or Daenerys on those like badass female heroine lists. Kate would be on that list for me. She is literally a superhero to me. This is a kind of monster of the week type of story, but there is a 10-book arc that I'm currently in. This is the 9th book, so can't really talk in detail about what's going on here, but Kate is such a, well, I don't want to spoil, but has a very unique family history, and she deals with like really intense monsters, I guess. It's not like your run-of-the-mill little mean werewolf or something. It's pretty life-ending sometimes. This is popcorn. This is candy to me. I really enjoy it. Hopefully I can knock it out pretty quickly. They're really readable, really fun, a little over 300 pages, so hopefully I can get this done, and this would be my fourth book of the vlog. We're trying to get to 10 before the month ends, so we'll see how I go. I've been wanting to do a vlog where I read like at least one book from each of the Goodreads Choice Awards, which I have for some subjects already, like nonfiction. I've been wanting to read Buffalo Hunter anyways. That's in the horror category, which might win. I think there's a Stephen King there, so he might win, but I'm just rambling about what I want to do next after this video. But let me get to this. So quick update. I am a little more than 60% of the way through. This is how many pages is this? It's about 340 pages. I'm at 224, so I'm almost done actually. And I'm really enjoying this. I knew I would. I love this series so much, so I'm enjoying this. I'm loving it. I think this is a build up to the last book. Technically this is a 10 arc series from what I understood from like the author's website. There are more books in this universe, I think, like short stories and stuff, but I think I might just want to finish the series, which I know it's not a lot of variety in the vlog. Mind you, we're doing 10 books in this vlog, so you're getting variety anyways, but I did want to finish a book or a series soon, before the year ends, at least one series, and this would technically, I would count this as like finishing a series if I read the 10th and final book in this like arc, because I think this is a build-up, like where she's getting ready, our main character is getting ready to go up against this big bad. I'm gonna be super vague, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a long time coming. It's been teased pretty much from every book, like starting book 3 or 4, who the big bad is, and it's pretty obvious like pretty quickly. But I'm really enjoying this. I love Kate. We are currently going through a character arc with her that has me worried if the authors don't do it right. Kate has always been very selfless and very much like she has good morals. Like, she doesn't want to see people suffer. She's not the type to sacrifice one person to save like 100. That's not her thing. But because of certain stuff happening to her right now, she is kind of teetering the line between like being a savior and kind of getting into I know what's best for everyone, so let me do what I have to do kind of territory. And I will never fault her for any of her decisions. She's between a rock and a hard place right now, but I can see her like having some mental struggles, and a lot of the people around her, friends and family, lovers, are like, Kate, you're kind of being a little suspect right now. We know that you're under a lot of pressure, but just remember where you come from and what your values and morals are. But it could be a very good arc as well, or it could go terribly, depending on how the authors write her. I really want people to read the series and like it's not like a small indie series. It's a very popular series, like maybe outside of like the bookish circles. It's older, it's urban paranormal, so it definitely has an audience, but maybe not so much on like TikTok. And um, I don't see people talk about it too much on booktube, but it could just be the people that I follow, which I do need to follow more people who read like series like this. But that's the update. If I finish it, I might just jump into book 10, and that would be my fifth. This is my fourth book of the vlog, I think. And then yeah, that is the update. Sorry for the AC blasting. I live in South Texas. I say this every time, but I live in South Texas. This AC is going to be on 90% of the year, so peace. Okay, so I do have a bit of an update. I'm gonna try to go fast because I think I have lunch with my mom, but I did finish Magic Binds by Illona Andrews. This was so good. I love the series. I talk about it so highly every time I bring it up, so it kind of feels like redundant to keep like gushing about it, but you're here, so I love the series. It's so good. The characters, the relationships, like the story, like plot beats and everything that is thrown to our main character Kate. Amazing. I think this is like the first 5 star in the series. Overall, I consider this series to be like 5 stars as a whole, but individually, a lot of the books have been 3.5, 4, 4.5. I think this is going to be my first 5. This one was really good. I really like seeing all the drama between Kate and the people that she's known and loved and cared for, because she's at odds with a lot of them now for a couple reasons, but she's really tested in this one, and it was just a great story. I thought this was going to be mostly a kind of build up to the last book, and it kind of is. But they were still kind of like an ending epic scene, I guess, towards the end. I don't know if it's like a spoiler to say there's like a bit of a confrontation battle, I guess. There usually is at the end of these books. But I really enjoyed this. And I did mention how I think when I finish that book, I'm just going to go into the last book in this Roland arc. Might as well. I'm enjoying it, and the point of this vlog was just to like read 10 books, like a supersized vlog. And if I can finish a series and get another physical book off my TBR, then I think that's a win. So I think I'm just gonna go into Magic Triumphs, which is the last book in this Roland arc. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that 5 stars is pretty good. But I did get a package. This is Illumicrate. I'm waiting on one more book, and then I'm going to film the last book haul of the year. I was going to do an October haul, but I thought might as well just combined October and November. But as you saw, this is Illumicrate. This is my third box from Illumicrate, and I do think the service is great. They ship really fast. I'm happy that they're not choosing always like the most hyped books. Other subscription services do that, so um I believe this one, for example, is a debut, so it's not like the most hyped release the way other books do or other boxes do. If anything, their cover game is not the best. When they do their redesign, sometimes the original covers are better. But in this case, I do think that the cover that they've created for this book is actually really good. Just as good, maybe even slightly better than the original cover. And that is A Rather Vengeful Accord by Danielle Knight. I have not heard about this book, but this is stunning. I believe, I'm not sure if this is a YA. I think it is adult, and this takes place in an elite college where gravers raise the dead and turn corpses into unnatural abominations, while spires battle undead horrors in grand arenas, thrilling crowds, and divine spectacle. So it's kind of like a school setting, but also there's like, I guess, two groups of people: those that kind of raise the dead, and then others that fight them. And I believe we follow two characters who are kind of enemies, who are gonna have to work together to be part of this elite college. That's what I'm picking up, but I think this cover is actually beautiful. Here's the back, and then here are the edges. I will say that their like inside covers are actually always stunning. I'm never disappointed by like the naked hardback. The art style sometimes does leave a lot to be desired, because sometimes the art style is giving like contemporary romance, but then it's like a high fantasy. This art style, though, I think does go well with the book. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show you. I have one more book. It is, I guess, spoiler for my book haul. I ordered the Vampire Lestat off of eBay. I love buying books off of eBay. I really don't care about condition as long as it's readable and I can hold it in my hands. I don't care if it's like written on or like some of the pages are kind of bent or even yellowed. I don't mind. So I'm waiting on that one and then I'm going to film a book haul. But I guess this was the fourth book in the vlog. I'd have to double check, but really enjoyed this. I'm just going to jump right into this one. I know it's not the most exciting, but I'm having fun reading this. So I do have a bit of a reading update. It's been a minute since I've updated. Thanksgiving has already passed, so it's been a while, but I did end up finishing Magic Triumphs by Illona Andrews. I jumped right into this after book 9, as you know, and I didn't really feel like giving an update because it's a continuation. Everything that you need to know about the series I've already talked about. I enjoyed this. If I hadn't picked this up immediately after book 9, this could have gotten a higher rating, but I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Book 9 was such a high, and I wish that this book continued that high, especially since this is like an end mark for now when it comes to the world of Kate Daniels. There are still like short stories and stuff that I haven't read, but this was supposed to be a big finale moment and it wasn't quite there. It was like an 8 out of 10 in terms of like a big grand finale. I still enjoyed it. I still love the series, but I was comparing it to what I had just finished reading, so it's a little not a huge letdown, but it's just like a step down. But like I said before, the series is greater than the sum of its parts. I've only given one book, as you saw in the series, a 5-star, book 9, and I am curious to see how I will feel about some of these books whenever I decide to do a reread, because I absolutely will be doing a reread at some point. Kate Daniels is one of the best female characters in fantasy, point blank, period. But yes, and I'm also excited to see how I feel about Illona Andrews' other books. I know that some of they have a lot of other works that they've published that I've heard great things about. So, oh, and they're also coming out with like an actual like adult fantasy book soon. And I've seen arcs and I want one, but I'm not gonna ask for one. Book 5 done. I did end up immediately kind of picking up my next read. I wanted something light and quick. I picked up Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. This will be my sixth book of the vlog. I really like Legends and Lattes. I think Travis Baldree does a good job for me when it comes to towing that line between cozy vibes, ambience, mood, whatever, before it gets too saccharine and too like cutesy, which I know a lot of people like that, but I have a firm line and a lot of authors cross that line, which is okay. I know I'm picky when it comes to cozies. I don't like cozy mysteries 99% of the time. Cozy fantasies are like half and half. Of the few cozy sci-fis I've read, I've actually really enjoyed. But I really do like how Travis Baldree does characters and setting and all that kind of stuff without it being too like, let me pick every cutesy Hallmark trope that I can for a cozy. He doesn't do it like so overtly, which I really appreciate. One thing that I also really like about cozies, or what I prefer in cozies, is there's not a lot of drama. Like the worst thing that happened in Legends and Lattes was that there was some delays and like setting up that coffee shop that our main character was gonna set up. That's it. Like there was no evil queen, magic battles, sword fighting, There's a little bit more in this one, but you can I still get the sense that there's not really much drama going on. It's still very character focused. The monotonous things that can still be really fun in life in this book. So I'm about halfway through and hopefully I'll finish this by today. I don't think I'm going to get to the 10 books before the month ends. I'm still going to continue the vlog because I still want this to be like a supersized 10 books vlog, but it will go into December, which is fine with me. I still have a few other books that I'm going to finish before November that are not in this vlog. I've read one book before this vlog started and I'm listening to something, but I'm not counting the audiobook for this vlog. I'm going to film a book haul soon because I just got everything before the month ends, the last book haul of the year. I did buy some books for Black Friday and I got something in the mail from eBay. But yes, and then I also have to film my wrap up for like the last 3 months. I haven't filmed a wrap up in a hot minute. So that's on the agenda. So hopefully I'll get a couple videos out for December. There's a lot of end of the year stuff in December and I don't know if I'm gonna do much of those right now because the year hasn't ended and I like doing end of the year content after the year has ended. For now, yeah, that is my update. Hopefully I'll finish this and then I think I'm gonna pick up maybe the next book in the Area X trilogy by Vandermeer, but we'll see what's next. Let me just finish this and come back. Okay, so reading update. It is the next day. I did finish Bookshops and Bonedust by Baldree. I really like this. I think I like this more than the first one, actually. I didn't really explain it. I assume everyone knows what this is about because it was so popular. But this is the sequel or the pre-sequel to Legends and Lattes. In that book, we follow this character named Viv, who's an orc. And we know she's a mercenary, but in the first book, she decides to no longer do that kind of work and she wants to open up a coffee shop. And it's a very cutesy book. This pre-sequel takes place a few years before that, and we know that she's going to continue to be an orc, mercenary after the fact, so there's no spoilers there. But she is on bed rest because she got really hurt during one of her jobs, and so she is staying in this cute little coastal town. In particular, she finds herself really connecting to the owner of a bookshop, and this is like the first instance that Viv really gets a sense of opportunities in her life that don't have to necessarily be like mercenary work. This is like the first step that she takes in order to get to that point we see in Legends and Lattes. Like I said before, Baldree is like the perfect author for me when it comes to cozy fantasy. Legends and Lattes in particular was great for me because I like the high fantasy, but I really need low stakes. I don't want a lot of drama. This one did have a bit more conflict than I would have wanted, but that's okay because I do think that the writing and the character work really made up for it. One of the themes that I really enjoyed that I don't see too much in fantasy was this idea that we are the people, that we are always on a journey to get where we need to, and sometimes we are not quite there yet, and that's okay. Like, we know Viv will eventually become the coffee shop owner in book 1. However, she's not quite there yet. Like, she's right person, wrong time, that whole idea. And I really thought it hit home in this book. I don't really see that a lot in fantasy. So I really enjoyed it, and I really like this one. So I'm giving this like 4 stars, but like a good 4 stars. After that, I immediately picked up my next read, and I'm hoping I get to finish this before the month ends. So I really have this afternoon to do it when I do have a lot of time. I can read this pretty quickly, but I wanted to read the second book in the Southern Reach trilogy, the Area X trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a bind up, so it looks big. It's not. I'm about 25% into this one. This is a very popular sci-fi that's already been adapted into a movie. Annihilation was adapted anyways, but the second book, Authority, which is the one I'm currently reading, follows the events of the first book. This trilogy revolves around this like really mysterious area called Area X that kind of just appeared out of nowhere, and like the flora and fauna and things that go into this area just don't come out, and it's all very weird and odd, and I think it's been described as like cosmic horror sci-fi vibes. In the first book, we followed the 12th expedition into this area, an all-female expedition, and we know that pretty much all the previous expeditions have ended not good, pretty horribly, with little to no result. The writing is very unique. I don't think a lot of people like the writing, or it's like hit and miss for some people. I liked the writing. This book picks up not immediately, but sometime after book 1, and we're following someone who's actually in the like government program that is supposed to watch over this area, who's in charge of this area. So a different perspective, but still revolving around this area. I keep saying area. I like it. It's very odd. I like the oddness of it the most so far. It's really like monotonous at the moment though, because we are just following someone who works in an office studying this area, and I'm assuming it's gonna get more weird. Like, I feel like there's like some looming thing in the background that's going to come to the forefront, even though, like I said, this doesn't take place in the Area X like the first book. This takes place in an office for the most part, but I think things are going to get weird soon, which I'm hoping for. So hopefully I get to finish this before today is over, so I can put this in my November wrap up. This would be book 7 for the vlog. So peace. Okay, so I wanted to give an update because I am at about 80% of the way through Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. So it's a very pulled back view on Area X because we're not in the middle of it, but we are following a character named Control, and he is getting a lot of answers, and we're getting some reveals about what this area is and what it entails. I talked about this in a TikTok video, which I'm trying to post more on TikTok. I talked about it in the video where I think a good part of why I'm so intrigued by this series is the writing. It's a very odd style of writing that I know a lot of people might not like. I've heard people say that the writing is just not for them, and that's totally fair. I think that's a big part of why I'm so intrigued by this, that the writing really lends itself well to like the ominous, like cosmic horrorness of this all. I don't want to say that nothing's happening, but this book, one, has been very character focused. We get a lot of flashbacks or just references to our main character Control's like upbringing and who's like his family. That we're getting little like vignettes about his life, and that's not something that you typically see in like a sci-fi or just like any kind of genre. It's very like, again, it's character focused. It feels almost literary at some point, and it's very slow moving, monotonous, because he's kind of like a government employee. But I think at this point stuff's gonna start hitting the fan, I feel, which is why I wanted to interrupt here and give an update. I could have just kept like reading. It's very slow, and I don't mind it because of the writing, but I wonder how much I would like it if I didn't, like if the writing was just like okay. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's pointless, because our main character has a purpose. Like, he was put into this position. He did not work his way up into Area X, or into the Southern Reach program. He was doing some other thing, and he was put into this program. So he's an outsider. He doesn't have any connections. He doesn't know the people who work there, but he's in there to kind of find out what happened in the last expedition, the one that we read in book 1, and to help run the show. And he's struggling with that, but it hasn't felt very explosive, or it hasn't seemed so grand, or like nothing major has happened. We're just getting, again, a lot of character stuff and some information reveals, because this Area X is so odd. It's so weird. If you like weird sci-fi, this series might be for you, but like check on the writing as well. That's my update. I also uploaded a video talking about every book that I've read for the last 3 months, which I haven't been good about that. I haven't wanted to do a wrap up because a lot of these past few months I've only been reading like 2 or 3 things a month, but here this last November, as you know, I've been reading a lot more. So it was a handful of books. It was quite a few books, and I kind of rambled for a bit, but I did film a wrap up, and then tomorrow I'm gonna film a book haul. But yeah, hopefully I'll finish this tonight, and I think this is book 7, and then I have 8, 9, and 10 for this vlog. Filming has been going a lot longer than I wanted to for this video, but it's fine. I kind of knew it was gonna take a while. So I do have a little bit of an update. I did end up finishing Authority. Ooh, I don't know what to rate this. I think I'm gonna go with like a 3.5 for now. I knew that the ending was gonna be something memorable. Like, I am solely intrigued on what's gonna happen in the next book just because of the ending. That being said, a majority of the book, the first 75%, that's not even that's the majority of the book. It was good, question mark. It was a lot of character stuff, which is something that was carried over from the first book. I think if you've never read this book, you assume that it's going to be, or the series, I think you assume it's going to be just like really cool sci-fi stuff, which it kind of is. But there's also a lot of setting up the characters in a way that some people might not care for or feel like it's necessary. We get so much of these characters' backgrounds in the first book from the biologist, and in the second book from Control. I keep thinking of how much I would like this book if it was just written in like a very straightforward manner, but because the writing in this one, or in the series, this author in general, is so like, I just really like the writing. I think that really helps me to like enjoy the book more. As far as the ending goes, like, it is making me intrigued on what's gonna happen next in this series. Yeah, again, this is like the last book. I feel like I need another read to truly wrap my head around what I'm seeing here. I know that's like not the best review, but that's truly where my thoughts are. Writing, great. Story, I don't want to say like nothing happened, because there obviously was stuff happening, and there's some weird stuff sprinkled throughout the series, or throughout the book, excuse me, but it's not as eventful as you think it's gonna be. So I'll just leave that there. Maybe I'll have more thoughts later in the vlog once this ruminates a bit more. But I did end up picking up the 8th book after that, and that is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. This is a YA fantasy. I think it's a standalone that got a lot of love back then. I've been wanting to read Axie's other book, I think The Floating World is what it's called. That one looks really interesting to me, but I had this one and it's a standalone, so I thought to try out the author's writing. I'm not that far along. I'm only like 40-ish pages, no sorry, 60-ish pages. One thing I will say is that the writing is well done, and I don't want to say like for a YA book, but something about the writing feels reminiscent to like Tamora Pierce. Like very obviously this is YA geared, but it's that type of writing that feels very general audiences, in the same way that like Marvel movies is supposed to be something to be enjoyed by like kids, your siblings, your parents, your grandparents. I mean that I don't love Marvel movies that much, but what I mean by that is that like for writing purposes, I feel like that's a harder feat, something that is readable and enjoyable by all ages, especially younger ages. And I think the author has, so far the story is told well in that way, and I really like it. Tamora Pierce is one of my favorite like YA fantasy, or just or authors in general when it comes to fantasy, so that's a huge compliment for me. So we'll see how the story progresses. I didn't tell you what it's about. So our main character comes from this small coastal town, and each year they sacrifice a beautiful maiden to the sea god in order to appease him and like temper down like storms and floods. This year her brother's girlfriend, or the woman that her brother loves, is supposed to be the next sacrifice, but our main character sacrifices herself so her brother won't do something stupid, and his love won't die either. And so our main character is then transported to the realm where the sea god lives, and that's her story. I think it's supposed to be inspired by Korean mythology. I believe the author is Korean American, so that's the 8th book for this vlog. I would really like to finish it soon. I forget how long reading 10 books could be. I also went to the library, but I'll talk about what I got there later. Another library haul, so bye. So I just finished reading The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. I really like the beginning and a lot of moments in the book where the author is talking about fate and choosing your own path. I do think that this story actually could have been a bit longer. I know that's a critique that I hear a lot from fantasy readers, is that some books need to be edited down a bit more. I felt like we moved through the story pretty quickly, and in some moments I could understand why the author didn't need to elaborate, but there were some parts that I felt like had the potential for more weight for the characters and the potential to explore more, because I do think that the author has a really rich idea of this spirit world, spirit realm, that in some moments I was like, oh, this sounds great, and then some moments we kind of just like glazed through. I feel like this could be a duology, not much longer, or just like a bit longer as a standalone, but I did enjoy it. I just wish that some moments, especially towards the end, didn't just kind of like, we were kind of rushing towards the end, which made me sad. I wanted to sit with this a bit more. I really do like Asian inspired fantasies. I've read a few Korean, Chinese, and Japanese works, a little bit of Southeast Asian as well, some Indian fantasy. I like this. Again, that's pretty much my main critique, is like some of the pacing kind of comes and goes. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes I wanted to slow down a bit, but I like this, and I'm kind of excited to read her other work, The Floating World. I think it was nominated for YA fantasy or something in the Goodreads Choice Awards this year. We are putting this back on the shelves. I think this was book 8, so I just need to read 2 more for this supersized vlog, I think, and it's another sequel. Sorry, bear with me, but I do want to finish some sequels before the end of the year, or I want to finish some series before the end of the year, and I would like to finish another one for this vlog, The Angel of Indian Lake. This is the 3rd and final book in the Indian Lake trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm so excited for this. The main character of this trilogy, she means so much to me. Jade is so fantastic. Before I get ahead of myself, the first book, which is My Heart is a Chainsaw, we follow a character named Jade, who's a high school student in that first book, and she's obsessed with slasher films, and she's 100% sure that a slasher event is going to happen in her hometown. She even has like a final girl picked out for this event, and she's like seeing all the signs of like something bad's gonna happen and people are gonna die. But it's a lot more emotional than that. It's a lot more character focused. It's not always like the most propulsively like slasher horror. I think some people expect one thing from the book, and Stephen Graham Jones's writing is a bit different than what people might expect from a slasher inspired horror. I really like his writing. I know he's getting really popular because of the Buffalo Hunter book that came out this year, and a lot of people are trying him out through that book, and I don't know if that's like the best place to start with him. Please don't ask me where the best place to start is, but I do really like My Heart is a Chainsaw. That was probably one of my favorite books last year. Was it last year that I read it or the year before? I don't remember, but when I read it, I loved it, and this is the third and final book. I didn't love the second book as much. I still had a good time. I'm hoping that this will end on a high note. This book takes place quite a few years after the first book. Jade is pretty much grown up by this book. I don't want to spoil anything, but let's see how fast I can get through this. It is a bit chunkier than the last book, and I'm assuming it's gonna it won't flow as quickly as a YA, but hopefully my excitement for it will just like keep me reading longer. And yeah, this is book 9, right? So I do have an update. I am really enjoying this. Thank you, Jesus. I was gonna be so scared if I wasn't enjoying this. What I really enjoyed about the first book that I feel like I didn't really get about book 2 in this trilogy is Jade. We had a lot more characters to juggle in the second book, and not that the writing wasn't good or anything, but I just really miss being with Jade and experiencing her psyche. She's a very odd person, and I think that's one thing that people didn't really realize with, or don't really like about how this author writes this character, is that we are constantly in her head, but she's also always talking to us or to other people in her head. Like in this book, she has a therapist. I can't say why, but she has like a mandated therapist, and she's talking to her therapist just like in her head, like what she wants to say to her therapist that she probably won't ever actually say to her. So she's like, her therapist's name is Shoshana, so she's like, sorry, so Shoshana, like I'm doing X, Y, and Z and da da da. And I think people won't like that. Also, I didn't quite feel like this in the first book. Our main character, since she loves slashers so much, she references them quite a bit, and it could feel heavy-handed if that's like not your thing, or you like literally don't know any reference whatsoever. I don't think you need to know slasher references, but it does help because sometimes she'll mention something and it'll sound like she's talking about another character. Like she brings up like Billy, and if you're reading the book, you're like, wait, who the fuck is Billy? I don't remember Billy. She's talking about Billy Loomis from Scream. That might not be super obvious if you like don't know anything. I feel like it's way more heavy-handed here than in book 1, so it might feel kind of awkward. It's great for me because I watch a lot of horror and I do watch a lot of slasher. I'm really enjoying this. I hope this is 5 stars. So far, it is turning out to be 5 stars. This is pretty much everything that I want from this. I just need like the ending to really like hit it home and just like knock it out of the park. Yeah, that is my update. We are definitely just with Jade more. We haven't really touched on any other person's perspective, which is something that happened in book 2. We were like with this person and that person, and I felt like I missed Jade. I was like, where the hell is Jade in book 2? Not that she wasn't absolutely there, she was. And I definitely feel like I need to reread book 2 because there were some things that happened in book 2 that I was like, yeah, that was really crazy. I feel like I don't appreciate it as much, but I'm really enjoying this. I hope it's 5 stars. So I'm gonna get back to it. We need to finish this vlog. There's a bunch of other stuff that I want to film. So is this angle okay? The light is like back here, so my lighting is like shadowed in my face, like the light is coming from back here. I did end up finishing The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know what to say. I'm stuck between a 5 and a 4.5. I did just log it as a 5 on Goodreads because it's closer to a 5 than a 4.5, but I had such a good time with this. I'm so glad that I read this like in general, but I'm glad that I'm reading it for a vlog so I can like talk about my feelings, and maybe, I don't know, like talking about it out loud might help me like come to a conclusion. I love this ending for a couple reasons. Like I said, this is the 3rd book in a series, so I can't really talk too much about this one, but seeing where Jade is in this story from book 1 to here is so beautiful. Jade did not have a good upbringing. I adore her so much. She is so real, like of a character. Like if Stephen Graham Jones came out one day and was like, Jade is based off of this one individual person and she's like one-to-one real, I would believe him because she just feels so lifelike. This is exactly what I felt I was missing in book 2. Though I will say one thing that I really appreciated about this book is that it made me appreciate book 2 before than I already had. I think book 2 I gave like 3.5 to maybe 4 stars, but this one I really appreciated. I really enjoyed it. One thing that I know is not for people, we are in Jade's head a lot. I don't think people realize what I mean. She just rambles a lot in her head that it feels like she's having a conversation. Like it feels like you're missing like quotation marks, but you're not. Like she just talks a lot in her head, and it might be like not someone's personal taste, which is fine. I love it, especially since she's mostly talking about slasher stuff. Like she just constantly is referencing slasher stuff, which I said this in the update, the last clip, that it's a bit more overwhelming if you don't know any of the references. I think if you've seen like the major films, like Scream is a big one in this one, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, I think you'll be fine. But there's a lot of references, some that even like I'm not super familiar with, but I really enjoyed this. I think maybe the one thing that might hold this back, my biggest critique, is that I felt like there's a lot of loose ends that the author wanted to address before he wrapped up the series. So it kind of not felt rushed, but it was just a lot of like, remember this thing that happened in book 1? Let's talk about it real quick. That's kind of what it felt like. But I really enjoyed it. The final chapter, I love Jade so much. I adore her journey. Really want to go back and read book 1 now, and because I have the reference of where she's gonna end up, and seeing book 1 to my overwhelming feeling is a 5-star. I think that's what I'm gonna leave it for now. Looking back, it could change. It could change on a reread, which I definitely want to reread the series. Very violent, by the way. It's inspired by slashers, so expect very gruesome endings for people. While I ruminate on that book, I am also finishing or starting the last book of this vlog, and I thought it would be nice to pick up The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've read this before, but I think a reread now would just feel like a brand new experience. Like I might as well have not read it in the past. I read it in high school, and I watched like the 50s version. I want to say it was the 50s, and I know like the gist. Like I know what themes we're like touching on and like basically what happens, but with a new perspective, I'm much older now than when I first read it. It's like reading the book for the first time. And this is also in the 101 books to read before you die, which is always a nice thing to fall back onto when I don't know what to read. It's not very long. Most of this was the introduction, and I'm going to read the introduction after I read the text so I can have my own thoughts and then see what Tony Tanner, who wrote the introduction for this, what his thoughts are. But this is a lovely modern classics with like that blue color, which I really like. I've said this before in a few videos, but I mostly want to reread this just so I can get to some of the reimaginings, retellings that we've gotten, since this is now part of the public domain. We'll quickly hopefully get through this. It's not very long, and the writing's not that dense really. It's pretty modern as far as writing goes. So I did end up finishing The Great Gatsby. This is the last check-in for this vlog. This is sad. Like this is kind of bleak. I did like it. I'm giving it 4 stars, but my not, this is sad in like a, not like a I'm gonna cry type of way, but like damn, like, and I don't know if this hit me as hard as it did when I first read it, which was in, I don't know, sophomore year of high school. I was probably 15, but like now that I'm older and I'm gonna enter my 30s soon, and I live in this current era that we're in the United States, like this is bleak as hell. And I feel like it only gets more real. Maybe like not, you know, you might not like the story and like the characters, which is fair, but like the whole message of having this dream and it doesn't like come to fruition, like no matter how much time or passion you have for it, like this, I don't know, I'm kind of depressed, but like in a good way. I like feeling things in response to the books that I've read. I tabbed it a little bit. It looks like I have some sort of organizational system based off of the colors. I don't. I first started tabbing, you know, quotes. I also tabbed like things that I felt had like a symbolic meaning, that there's a certain purpose why the author put it in, like that one billboard of that optometrist or whatever. But I don't actually have like a system for tabbing at this point. I just tab what I feel is interesting to me. I think I really liked Jordan a lot. I wish we got more from her. She felt like the straight man, or she felt like a character who kind of just like knew all this already. Like I would have liked to see like the story from her perspective. I think she kind of understands the world that she lives in, and she's not kind of blinded by like aspirations or the American dream or whatever. She's kind of just like, this is where we are in this moment in time as a society, me as a woman. She kind of just vibes throughout it. I want to see more from her. I think she's really interesting, and I'm assuming that maybe I'm not unique in that, and that a lot of reimaginings, retellings that we're seeing now, because this is now in the public domain, might focus more on her or different takes on these relationships. I thought Nick's like and dislike of Gatsby was interesting, that I wanted to see more of. But I do think this is a good reading experience for me. I don't often read classics. I don't know if I said it in this vlog, but I've been wanting to put more classics, nonfiction, and litfic in my reading. Classics and nonfiction have been going well. I'm just picking up things that I already know that I have an affinity for, like Carmilla or something. But litfic's a little harder to put into my reading. It doesn't call to me the way that classics or nonfiction can. But this was a fairly easy read, and I can see why you would give it to teenagers to read, like in high school and stuff. But the disillusionment with the American dream, and I feel like might not hit as hard for all youths in America, though I think that's becoming a bit more noticeable these days. I'm going to wrap up this vlog now. I do want to go back and read the introduction. I don't like reading the introductions for classics before I've read them before. I feel like maybe it'll sway my opinion, or I might focus on something that the introduction is focusing on that I don't. I want my own experience first before I read the introduction. The introduction was written by Tony Tanner, who I'm not super familiar with. So let me read this introduction. I probably won't give my thoughts on the intro because it's, just an intro. And then I'll come back and wrap up this vlog that took a long time to film. But I do think it's fitting that it's like coming up at the end of the year, and I feel like a supersized reading vlog would be fun for end of the year content. So also, this angle really exposes how much of a K-pop stan I am. I don't really talk about it that much on this channel, but here they are. So I guess it's time to wrap up this vlog. It has been a minute since I started this vlog. So this was originally going to be like cramming some books for the end of November, and it ended up coming into December. And yeah, that's okay. I mean, I guess this ended up just being more like end of the year, like a super vlog for people that like longer form content, which I love. I love long reading vlogs. So I ended up reading 10 books, which was the plan, and that was the goal. I think that was the most important for me, not just necessarily getting this out before a certain time. If you want to really think about it, it only took me a couple days to finish each book. So here's a stack of some of the books that I read. I don't have all of them. Some of them were library books, as you saw earlier in the vlog. The Last Time I Lied, Booked for Murder, and Black and Blues. Here are the rest. I'm really happy with my selection of books. If we want to use this vlog as a kind of look, like a micro look at my year in reading, I was really focused on reading diverse in terms of genre. I mean, I know we talk about diversity in terms of authors, but I think genre is really important to me at this point in my life. 5-10 years ago, I would have just been reading a ton of fantasy, like sprinkled in with like a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of horror, and a little bit of romance throughout the year. Now it's very easy for me to like pick up books in different genres like consistently. I have some kind of weird sci-fi, I have horror, I have YA fantasy, I have a cozy fantasy, I have a classic, I have some urban. I mean, the majority are still genre fiction, speculative. I'm really happy with my year, especially the latter half of the year. The beginning wasn't the greatest. Hopefully next year I can continue with this integration of different genres, which seems easy to me now. Next year I'm gonna focus more so on series, which was something that you saw in this vlog. I finished 2 series with the Indian Lake trilogy and kind of sort of the Kate Daniels mainline story. I don't know what else this video has to say about me, my reading. I just really wanted to read a ton of books before the end of the year, get some stuff that I wanted to put in. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope you enjoyed some of the books that I read or my thoughts on them. I'd like to hear anything you have to say in the comments down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, which might be in 2026. But I think I might be able to put out some more videos before the year ends. We'll see about that. But anyways, peace out.